Hello students, my name is Dev Pandya. As you all know that nowadays we are going through this COVID-19 crisis, so because of this everybody should stay home and be safe with your family. So today standard 7th English grammar chapter number 9 non-finite verbs. As you all know that I am going through the definitions of this chapter and some of the examples of this chapter. So after that you have to read all the examples and the definitions and all the things you have to read by your own, and after that you have to complete all the exercises in your notebook. Okay, and you can send it over me on WhatsApp. Okay, now non-finite verbs, like in this there are two kinds of verbs in English: finite verbs and non-finite verbs. So in this, all such verbs that are limited by person, number and tense are called finite verbs. There are three kinds of verbs that are not limited by number, person and tense. They are called non-finite verbs. They are infinitives, gerunds and participles. We'll go through that afterwards. So I'm going to the first example. I go to school to study. He goes to school to study. Now in the sentence 1, this first one, the verb go has I for its subject and it agrees with it. Now in sentence 2, since the subject is he, we have used the verb goes. In these sentences the verb is limited by the person of the subject. Now study the following sentences like this. We can form, like this is the formation, we can see that. So he goes to school to study, like singular subject and singular verb. They go to school to study, so that is plural subject and plural verb. But these sentences also have another verb, its form does not change. In the above sentences it has the same form, to study, this one. So this verb does not have a subject, it simply names the action denoted by the verb to study. Like we have note here, like the present participle and the gerund have the same form, what we normally describe as the ing form, but their functions are different. The participle is partly a verb and partly an adjective. The gerund is partly a verb and partly a noun. Next page. Like the first one we have is the infinitives. Like in infinitives, how we can form the sentences, like when a verb merely suggests an action and is not limited by number and person, it is called infinitive. The infinitive is also referred to as the to verb, but it can be used with or without to. For example, first one, I want to read a story. He wants to read a story. So in the above sentences the colored verbs do not change even though the person, number or tense changes. These are infinitives. These words, these colored words does not change. If the tense is also changed, even though the person, number or tense changes, these words does not change, and these are called infinitives. So the infinitive is used like a noun. It can be the subject or the object of the verb. For example, to err is human, to forgive divine. Subject of a verb. Like second one, children love to go out, that is object, to go is object. So the infinitive can also be used as the object of a preposition. For example, I was about to leave. So to is infinitive. You can use also a preposition as an infinitive. After that, so when an infinitive is used without to, it is called a bare infinitive. Now the first one, in A point, what we can see that after the verbs shall, will, do, did, should, would, may, might and the verbs must, can and could, we use the infinitive without to. Okay, So here we have the examples of that. So the first one is we can do the work easily. So this is infinitive. Second, Sunil may go there. So go is infinitive. You must leave tonight. So leave is infinitive. You should consult a doctor. So consult is infinitive. Now after that, point B. We use the infinitive without to after these verbs like let, make, did, dare, need, and as well as after the following verbs of perception: see, hear, watch, know, and feel. For example, let me try this question. So let and try, that is infinitive. The teacher made me stand in the class. So made and stand, that both are infinitives. So you dare not touch my wallet. So dare and wallet, that is infinitive. I heard him cry with pain. So that both is, these colored words are infinitive. I felt something hard. Touch my cheek. So that both words are infinitive. Now carefully observe the use of to. How we can use to in infinitives with dare and need in the following sentences. For example, she dared to disobey the laws. She dared not disobey the laws. Now to is not used in the second sentence. So you need to go there. You need not go there. So to is not used. So it should be clear that we retain to in positive sentences but drop it in negative ones. You understand that? So these are the positive sentences, this is negative, so we cannot use to in the negative sentences like this if we are using not in this sentence. So that is negative, so we cannot use to in the negative sentences. So we use the infinitive without to after these expressions: had better, would rather, sooner than, rather than. So for example, we have the first one: I would rather die than beg. You had better returned my books in time. Now to is on the after then and after but. Now how can use then and but in these sentences? Like we have the examples here: she can better sing than dance. Now the child did nothing but cry. Next. Now on the next page we have the participles. Now how we can form the participles, and the definition of participle is: the participle is a word that does the work of both an adjective and a verb. For example, we found the guest waiting for us. Waiting. The word waiting is formed from the verb wait. So it is like a verb, but waiting is also describing the noun guest. So it is performing the work of an adjective. Understand? So note, we may say that a participle is a verbal adjective. Now there are three kinds of participles. The first one is present participle. In that we can use for burn, burning, wait, waiting, read, reading, come, coming, etc. The present participle is formed by adding ing to the base form of the verb. It works and functions sometimes as a verb and sometimes as an adjective. So the present participle describes an incomplete action or state. For example, the burning train. Now actually this is a name of a movie, but this sentence is not complete. Like this is an incomplete action or state. Now the process of burning continues. So after that, the third point is the present participle is active in form. Next page. For example, the waiting guest. Now this sentence is also not complete. Like the guests are waiting, that is active. Now what are the uses of this? As adjectives, for example, a talking doll, a doll that talks. Now this is the phrase, we can call that phrase, and clauses we can say that. So the full sentences like this, we can form that. A doll that talks. As adjectives which are complements of verbs like this, how we can form that? They are subject complements. For example, the news is thrilling. So the thrilling is a word which is given in the color, that is an adjective with a complement of a verb. So the C point is, as object complements, what we can say that, for example, the police found the thief sleeping. Now as adverb modifying the verb, for example, we can say the children came running into the temple. Now after that, the B point we have is the past participle. Now what is the past participle? It is damaged, broken, damaged, we can add D, we should add D here, and in broken, and injured, in this we can add D, shut, etc. The past participle is the third form of the verb. It usually ends in ed, d, t, en or n. So the past participle denotes an action or state which is completed. So for example, the broken window. Now the process of getting broken is also complete. If the past participle is formed from a transitive verb, it is passive in form. For example, the injured man. Now the man was injured. Now that is passive. Now what are the uses of this as adjectives? For example, this is a damaged car. Like how it is damaged, we don't know that. So as a subject complements, for example, they are excited. How much they are excited, we don't know that. So as object complements, for example, you should get your work checked. As adverbs to modify the verbs, for example, children ran indoors feared. Like how much they are feared, we don't know that. So next page. In the next page, with the C point, we have the perfect participle. Now having learnt, having been cooked, etc. Now the perfect participle is formed by adding having or having been in the passive form before the past participle. So after that, we can go to the second point. Is the second point, the perfect participle represent an action as having been completed at some past time. Now what are the uses? The A, to indicate the completion which is already completed of the first action before the second one took place. For example, having taken my meals, I went to sleep. Like you have already taken the meals and after that you are going to sleep. So there is two things there. Before the second place, you can took the first action of the completion to indicate this sentences. How you can form these sentences? Like the second one, having completed the homework, he wanted to play. Like that only. Now we have to combine all the sentences like this. For example, like I took my milk, I went to work. Second, having taken my milk, I went to work. Now what is the note between this? So a participle is generally used to join an introductory statement to the principal statement. For example, I found Tanya. But what? Tanya was reading a book. I found Tanya reading a book. Now these both sentences are formed like this in the participle. So a clause introduced by when may be replaced by on and a participle. For example, when we saw a restaurant, we decided to have a cup of tea. When you see the restaurant, you can go through that I have to I have a cup of tea and I have a cup of coffee and all that when you are going outside with your family. So like that only. So on seeing a restaurant, we decided to have a cup of tea, like that. So next page. On the next page, we have the gerund. How we can form the gerund, and the definition of that is a word which is like a verb but performs the work of a noun is called a gerund. We may say that a gerund is a verbal noun. Now for example, we have dancing is an art. Now the word dancing is formed from the verb dance by adding ing Okay, so it is therefore like a verb. So, but it is also the subject of the verb is. After that we have added after dancing we have added is. The dancing is an art. So it is when forming the work of a noun, gerunds can be used as the subject of a verb like this. For example, swimming, we are adding here ing, is easy to learn, like swimming is the subject here. So the object of a verb, for example, she loves reading, so reading is the object here. Okay, so adjectives and verbs which are always used in combination with a preposition, like think of, tired of, go through, subject to, must be followed by a gerund, not by an instinctive. For example, we have Priyanka thought of resigning from her job, not to resign. He is just thinking, Priyanka thought of resigning from her job. He is just here, she is thinking. So we should use a gerund when for is used to express purpose, like this: we go to school for learning. Okay, after that we have the gerund and the present participle. How we can form that sentences? So both the gerund and the present participle are formed by adding ing to the verb. However, they are different from each other. For example, I am tired of your grumbling. Now grumble is a verb, so we can add ing, so that would be a present participle, like grumbling children are not liked. That is the second one. Like in the sentence 1, grumbling answers the question tired of what? It has been used as the object of the preposition of, since only a noun or a pronoun can act as an object. Now grumbling is a noun, but grumbling is also formed from the verb grumble. So grumbling is a verbal noun or a gerund. We can call that verbal noun also or gerund also. So in sentence 2, this one, so in addition to being a verb form, the word grumbling describes the noun children. Okay, so and therefore acts as an adjective. So grumbling is a verbal adjective or a participle, like present participle. So once again you can read all these chapters by your own. Okay, so after that, at the last we have the fact file and summary. So I am going through these points. These are the main points. You have to read these also, and you have to write down these points in your notebook. After completing all the exercises like brain twisters and activity zone. So a verb not limited by person and number is called a non-finite verb. There are 3 groups of non-finites. What are the 3 groups? The infinitive, the participle and the gerund. An infinitive is the basic form of a verb without an addition preceded by to. It does not change its form when the person, number or tense changes. You have to learn these points. A participle is a word that does the work of both an adjective and a verb. Now there are 3 kinds of participles. What are they? The present participle, past participle and perfect participles. Now a gerund is that form of the word which ends in ing and works as a noun and a verb. Thank you.